Welcome everyone to our pre-council meeting tonight for our regular council, prior to our regular council meeting for Tuesday, January the 18th, 2022. We don't have a big agenda tonight, so perhaps we can move through pretty quick. We'll go down real quick and review if y'all would like. If y'all have had a chance to look over, we'll call to order. Invocation. Anybody want to do take the invocation tonight? Thank you. Mr. Little will do that. Got roll call. Looks like everybody on the council's here. The city clerk and the attorney. Y'all look over the agenda for tonight. Okay. Do y'all have anything that y'all want to add to it, or well, if the agenda is acceptable, somebody want to make a motion to approve it?
I can do that.
Second.
Allison make a motion, Jason second.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Have y'all looked over the minutes from our past meeting?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. You want to make
I'll
a
make the
motion?
motion, sure.
Thank you again. Allison make the motion for the minutes. Who would second it?
I will.
Allison and Randy to second that. Our visitors tonight, we have Mike Davis. I don't see Mike here yet, but he may be coming for the. He did say he would be here.
I believe Trish said he did.
I haven't spoke with him. He didn't mention anything to me. I saw him last week. We also have for visitors lined up Jennifer Wright, who I've worked with the district attorney's office. I think she's left there recently and is now running for district court judge. So she's not here yet, but she may be by the time of the meeting. So that's the only two that's scheduled to appear tonight. Okay. I didn't say, but we have no recognitions. Going into the mayor's report, we've had a busy past couple of weeks. I don't know if any of you got a chance to come down by Steel Creek for the high school bass fishing tournament. The weather was pretty good the day of it. They said we had between the weather and the tides, we only had about half as many boats as they had hoped to have. I think they had about 40 boats for the Friday, and then I think what they say, Bo, 39 weighed in or come in on the way out for the tournament. Anyway, it was broadcast live on the Bass Federation on their website and through their Facebook stuff, so I did look it up. We did have some pretty good, pictures and all of the lodge and some young men coming in, so they seem very pleased. They, said they hope to be back, and that this was one of their favorite spots when they're down on this end of the state, so hopefully we'll see that again. Last Saturday night was the Miss Satsuma contest. I think that was a big event that had a lot of people. I was not able to make that, but I heard it was a very nice event, and I read a lot of nice comments on that, so hopefully the school will consider that a success, I hope. So, Tom, Steel Creek, I know we talked a little earlier today. I don't know if the council may have any questions. I know we're continuing to purchase items and get things in. Is there anything you'd like to relay up to us about the?
No, I think that everything's been selected in order. Starting the tile floors next week. We're pretty good ahead of schedule right now, so I met with Allison and the a few other decorator items, so that all worked out fine. So
Oh.
there we go.
You said they started doing sheet rock today also, right?
They finished.
Finished the sheet rock.
I've got to do some taping float this week. Then we're gonna paint.
Oh, good. Well, I appreciate that. Y'all got any questions on that? Regarding that, y'all know that Robbie Storm had gotten sick at Christmas and was unable to come to a couple of our meetings. What do y'all think about us asking him to come back now for the next in February and get him to give us an update? Because, you know, he's supposed to have started giving us one in November. So I know we can't help everybody running into problems these days, but if that's good, I think our first meeting in February is at the 1st.
That was actually one of the things I was going to ask, so that's good.
Okay, good. Yeah, I asked him to call me and try to make it for tonight, and he didn't get back with me, so I apologize, but I will ask him definitely to be here for the 1st.
Oh, and speaking of meeting, are we, that Tuesday is on a meeting day. Do we normally meet?
I wouldn't think so. I would
Guess we
think,
would need to pick another date then. And I'm sorry, I just randomly brought that up, but
no, that's good. I'm glad you did.
I
I mean,
did not forget about it.
I think we probably need to discuss that, moving the holiday. Y'all all agree with, so Fat Tuesday's on the 15th this year?
I think it's like March,
Oh,
March
wait.
1st.
Oh, March 1st, the first meeting in March?
It's late this year.
Okay, we can look at our schedule. We don't have to do that tonight. We could move it next meeting if we
Okay.
wanted to, but that's a good idea to move it, I agree. Just so y'all will know, I've continued working with Tom, and we've had some success working with a couple of people on some homes that we have complaints on, and there has been some repair made, but we still have a couple that they're not really working or coming in compliance like we would like, and so hopefully in the next few weeks, either we'll see them doing something or we may start some other action, but like I said, up y'all, without getting into it, because some of the people they just responded when we asked them to do it, so if y'all looked around, I'll tell you private, the people, but we have a couple that's still in probate, and I think that's going to draw us out, Jay. We may end up having to get you involved in a couple of them, because homes have been neglected for quite some time, and we need to do something. I mean,
What you're saying?
yeah, at least that's what they're telling us, so I'd like to verify that, because we've been sitting there waiting for, okay. Tom, you think you could get with Heather tomorrow, or else you just get that to Jay, at least in the next couple of days, the homes we've discussed? But,
The ones in probate?
yeah,
That's because when they're in probate, everybody says they can't do nothing.
I mean, we can contact the personal representative of the state, they can do some stuff too. They've got an obligation to maintain the property. Just like, the heirs may not do something, but
okay. We'll get with you, bring those to you. Y'all do know that the Sharpsy meeting, I know the couple y'all were advised was postponed due to COVID, so that meeting we had scheduled for next week is postponed until March now.
So I might get to go.
Well, they actually said that due to them changing the date, that the grand didn't have as many rooms available, so it may be only for the mayor.
Okay.
We'll see what they got. So with them changing those, they may end up causing a few people to have to back out, so especially those.
But they have us on the wait list, just
Okay. A couple things happened. One of them I was just going to tell you all about. We listed a vehicle on sale for gov.deals, Chief, from It had govdeals.com, and we sold a truck recently that was down at the dump, and it had been there for quite some time, and the person come and bought it, and apparently a mirror had been taken off of it. I have no clue if somebody from the city put it on another truck, or if it just sitting down there, somebody come got it. And then apparently the guy got it home and it was missing the catalytic converter also. So now he's mad, and the truck had been parked for quite a long time, I understand. So we don't know when it could have happened. So I just told Travis and James to get with the chief, and unless y'all had any heartburn, I think he bid a little over $1,000 just to give him a couple $100 or whatever back and just let it be gone. But we're gonna check the vehicles out before somebody comes and leaves, because the guy came and left and went back to Georgia before we realized there was a problem. So I feel like if he wasn't getting what he thought, he should have let us know why he was here so we could do something.
You need to make sure that bill of sale says as is. And that it's his responsibility to look before he leaves.
It does say that.
But like I say, that's, when you leave with it, that's yours.
And
As
as
is.
I explained to the gentleman, you know, if the item wasn't as described and you felt
Yeah.
that that wasn't what you were bidding on, then the only remedy per Gov Deals policy is to not accept the vehicle and get your money refunded. But once he removes it from the property, it's his.
And on a similar thing, one of our residents here in town went over to the dump, which I think y'all will find that's a very popular place on Saturdays some. And I asked Tom about it and James, and they didn't even know what he was talking about, but there's apparently some framing that was up at the park at some point.
I didn't understand either. I gave them your number.
Okay, well,
Okay, I'm
they went
sorry.
over and looked, and apparently it's been taken down at some point way in the past, and it was in the weeds, and they didn't know it was over there. But he says he can use it to build a shed. And I said, well, we're not just gonna give you the stuff, because we're not letting people just come load up, drive off with the metal. But I said, if you'll make some reasonable donation, I don't know, it can't be worth much, but I said, just make a donation to the parks or senior
I don't know how that
programs or something, if
works.
y'all okay with that, because I will get him to photograph it, because apparently when they put those other sheds up, they tore some down a couple of years ago or something and must have put it over there.
There was a barbecue pit in front of the Rice Park concession stand. There's a big giant propane barbecue grill. It's one of those Carolina carports. We had taken it down and put it aside and sat there for months, and we finally moved it to the trash yard. It's a complete 18 by 22 foot. It's one of those carports you see all over the city.
But I think it's mainly just the framing, isn't it? That what he said?
All the panels, they were all taken off very carefully, so I don't know if they're all there now. Brand new, that thing's worth $800.
We know it was you apparently,
It's
You
old.
know. So,
It was probably put in or donated to the park, but even the people who took over the ball field didn't know who it belonged to, so they never took it.
all right, well, we'll move on that. I think the auditor has got a meeting scheduled with the water board and with Heather in the next few days. And they said once those two meetings are held, that they will have the audit. They will be prepared to meet with us and give the audit. So you ought to keep that up. The chief is asking questions again regarding what our decisions was regarding the generator at the public safety building. Do y'all, I know we went in executive session and discussed this a couple of times. Has there been any further dialogue with anybody?
They haven't offered anything else. I think I'm ready to move it. Is it still doing the same thing? How much it's done?
What he's telling me today.
Gotten worse or better, or?
No, just the same.
Okay, and on I'm just about wrapped up. On the same thing, it was a generator. We've had some problems with the HVAC there at the Public Safety Building, and the chief or both the chiefs are working with Josh to try and figure out what we can do on that or who's responsible. I think one of our local companies here referred us back to whoever installed the unit. Is that correct, Chief? Okay. Final thing I have, obviously on a very sad note, since our last council meeting, we've had a couple of longtime business owners, Mr. Jimmy Franks across the street over here with the tractor company, and Mr. Doyle Lomax with a machine shop up on Baldwin Road. Both passed away. Both were young men, been around here a long time, so if y'all see any of their family, you might want to give condolences there. I hated that. And also Mr. Jackson over on Orchard Avenue for as long as I can remember. He'd lived there. He about as long as he can too.
On
So
the corner.
I think he even served on a couple of our boards at one time, unless I'm mistaken. So very sorry for his passing. And also Gerald Smith, y'all know this, does our surveying for us here at the city and at the water board. Tragically, I think he's lost both of his sisters due to COVID since our last council meeting. So it's he told me the other day that he'd had a really rough holiday. So. And thanks all of y'all that have called or the people about my mother's passing. So anyway, thank you for that. With that being said, I have covered everything I know that I'd had for tonight. So, but Mr. Little, we'll go to public services.
Mayor, I didn't have a report from the seniors this month or this week, but they are still meeting down there. I do know we have a number of new homes, being built in the community that we sold permits for. That's going well. Also, talking about the trash ramp, we done a little work down there at the trash ramp, inside, worked on the heater and a few things, and the road, we done some work out there on it, and a few different other things also, but might be one or two other things I'll mention, but that's good for now.
Okay, thank you, Randy. Moving on to public safety, Mr. Butler.
I don't have too much, but on Chief Waits,
Right.
he got 10 interviews last week, and only 3 of them showed up. So, and also he's got a virus right now, and there's either 2 and possible 2 more, that many more. So, the virus is going again, so. Other than that, I don't have
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah, it's unfortunately it's affecting everything we do, it seems like. So hopefully we can identify some good candidates. We may have to keep trying and trying. So it's just where we're at.
Some of them didn't
All right.
even show up.
Well, listen.
I mean,
He said he had a couple good ones.
yeah, 3 of them was there, and we're gonna look again.
Good. Well, maybe we can make a good selection. Thank you, Mr. Butler. Moving on. Jason?
The only thing I had, we seemed to have had some people interested in some of the city asset stuff, like as you brought up before, the metal building or the metal cover and that kind of thing. And and I don't know whether or not we have a written policy about, getting rid of city assets or anything like that, but we may need to look at that. Just kind of freshen up one or create one if we don't, just so moving forward, we would know, the proper steps that we need to, if somebody wanted to come up here and buy, a toilet out of a building or something, I don't know.
Or
You see what
just
I'm
sell
getting
it for scrap price. I mean, that's the easiest way. The metal's down there, scrap price is what we
I mean,
get for it.
That's what I'm saying. Let's
What is metal?
put it out there
On a
and-
ton now, it ain't much, a couple
yeah,
of bucks.
I don't know what it is, but
Yeah, that'd be the easiest way,
we
just,
just need to just put something in place so moving forward, we know what to tell, we know what to tell people when they you know, something piques their interest, I guess.
Yes,
You talking
I
about,
get-
like, toilets and things, because if we're supposed to surplus by code, like we've done, you know, with the vehicles and things like that, we're supposed to do any personal property in the city, surplus it out like that, we get rid of it. Maybe if somebody wants to do it, wants something, then we vote on it, and say we'd like to surplus that out for public purchase. But, if it's, what y'all are saying is otherwise we're probably putting it in the dump, and then
Yeah.
that's the case, we put it in the dump, and we can short circuit that, if y'all want me to look at that, a way to get rid of stuff like that, as opposed to having to vote on it, list it.
What if it's something that's already gone?
Such as,
How we address that if it's going on.
Okay. So if somebody asked to have something and, I mean, because we have to have a record of it, right? It needs to be recorded on the,
Supposed to be, but if the
yeah.
stuff you're putting out in the dump, like we put that building y'all talking about, we put it out there for the, at the dump.
scrap.
You know, and so that's a little bit different than, say, get rid of the chairs in here where it's, we no
Right.
longer want to get rid of personal property, but we want new chairs. That's different. That has more value than the other. So that's why I was asking if it's things like that that we're throwing away or discarding, maybe they can come up with a policy on that. I don't think we have a policy for that kind of stuff.
I'm not seeing one. I had a gentleman call, apparently there was something on Facebook about some cabinets that came out of Steel Creek that were given away, and the gentleman that got them couldn't use them anymore. And I told him, I wasn't aware of a policy, but he said, well, it doesn't seem like it should have just been given away. So, that was today. I don't know when the post was, but.
Probably the easy thing, to do is throw it all in the dumpster and don't worry about it.
Well, I hate to throw something away that's good or could be used again, but some of that stuff that I've seen stored around here had been sitting around forever.
Right.
And I've just been asking them to clean up when they got a rainy day or something, to spend time down there just getting rid of some of the, old weed eaters or things like that. There's just no reason to keep any of that stuff, so. And it's really not worth anything for scrap. If somebody needed it for a part or something, but, I know we can't just, I don't want us to think we're just giving away anything that's worth anything, but some of that stuff that,
Y'all could donate it to like a secondhand
Humanity.
store or something like that, but you just donate it to that if it's not usable anymore, otherwise it's going in the dump. So that's different than things that have some value to it.
yeah, we can look into it. Why don't you give us what it is and what you might think we
Okay.
can do. That's good.
I know
That's all I have.
at our work, we do like an asset disposal, and whether there is a value or not, it's recorded, and then it's said whether it was recycled or disposed of or sold to someone else. And we just keep an electronic copy. So if we're ever audited, it's like, well, what happened, with the weed eaters? What happened to all 5 weed eaters? Oh, well, this one was bad, and this one, was old, worn out, whatever. And that way, it's just like a record. I don't know if that's something we want to do or not, but just thought I'd share what we do at work.
Yeah, we can probably do a better job of tracking what we need to do, but some of that stuff, you move it from here to there, and then a year later, we move it somewhere else, and, all the time and the space is taken is just, I don't know, how many vehicles you think we've gotten rid of in the last year? We had them around the old city hall and police department, over at Public Works stored, and
And still got several more we're trying to get rid of, some of your titles.
okay. All right, thank you, Mr. Skelton. Moving on, Parks and Recreation, Miss Allison.
I think everybody got one of these forms from Wilkins Miller. Did y'all get that? Have y'all filled these out yet?
What is it?
It's from an audit
Oh, yeah.
of their. Oh, you did? What? Cause see, I was just noticing the date was like September 30th, but I didn't get it until our last meeting in my box.
It was emailed.
Oh, I
One of
didn't-
them I done, I got off the email.
Have you seen that? Did you get?
I got one from the water board.
Okay.
I think I got one in my box.
Do you know if they could come and explain what, Because it was like other transactions, including side agreements, is it talking about our, like, the pay that we're compensated for through the city, or is that something that's like apart from that?
Like Mr. Phillips said, I think they emailed that to me probably 2 months ago, and it was,
Done mine electronically and sent it back to
and
them.
it was, yeah, I mean, and I did call and ask to explain, and we're not in any other business. We don't work for it. You don't have a
Just making sure you
family
don't have
member
other
that's
interests
working
besides.
for, or we don't lease anything back.
It's basically stating that you don't do business with the city.
Right.
Okay, because I wasn't sure, and then it didn't say who to ask questions to, because there's nobody's name on there, I don't think. Okay.
Well, they're going to be here next week if you'd feel comfortable dropping by, because Aaron and, is it Christy is the other girl? Aaron or Christy want to be here next week. Both of them will be around. They can explain it if you'd like, but
Okay.
I didn't have no problem. I don't think it's,
Yeah, I didn't do any business with the water board, so.
Okay.
You should
Alright.
have gotten one for here too.
I did, I got it the other day.
She was gonna mail them out, and then she brought them up here and just had me put them in y'all's box.
Okay. Was there an update on the tennis courts?
Sent a call Wednesday when we get back in the office.
Okay. And then, Mayor, I know you had mentioned that you had somebody that was gonna like refresh our entrance signs. Do you know if he's become available to do that?
I'll call him again. I've called him several times, and.
Okay.
and-
I know
but
we had
will.
looked at some designs, to kind of update the north and south side. So if maybe we need to revisit that, we can.
I'll have you an answer before the next council meeting.
Yes, sir. And then, were you guys able to add to the schedule to move the fence on that Babe Ruth field?
I asked them to get a quote from one of the fence companies, or at least try to get a couple of fence companies out here. And to do that, I did call them the day after the meeting, and asked James and Travis to go over and look and to make sure that they cleared with you and the ball people how many feet, so we don't get in trouble about,
Sure.
encroaching too close on the field or a football field or anything. And I am sorry, I do not recall him getting back. Has Travis said anything to you about any of that? I do know him and Travis rode over there and looked at it and said they would get us a price to move the
Okay.
fence.
I know that, I think when I talked to Crystal about it, that she said that they could take it down, but putting it back up was what she felt like they needed to contract it out or get a fence company to come do that. So, okay, thank you.
I'll have you an answer on that with a sign.
Oh, and I'm sorry, that's all.
Okay, thank you. Moving on, Mr. Phillips.
I don't have nothing, Mayor.
Okay. All right, well, moving on, payment of the bills. Did y'all have a chance? I think we have them here in front of Jason, if anybody wants to look over them.
I'll take the first one, or I'll take that one.
Thank you, Jason.
Second.
Thank you. Jason, seconded by Randy. Okay. B's discussion consideration of hiring William Cherry as a full-time police officer to be effective on January the 29th, 2020. Mr. Butler?
I can second it.
Mr. Butler's making the motion. And Ms. Reese is seconding. Mr. Phillips, you had discussion and consideration of that repaving that
Yeah, Mayor, that
intersection.
info was supposed to be in my box, but it's not. So I don't have the information to give you on the cost. So we need to just carry that over.
Did you make a motion to table that tonight?
Sure.
Anyone second?
can second it.
Thank you. Okay, we're gonna have a motion and a second to do that, to table that ordinance. Moving on, resolution ordinances, orders, and other business. Ordinance 542, an ordinance to amend Ordinance 520, the animal ordinance.
I make a
I'll second it.
What I did on that, just add in there, that it has to be 5 acres. For properties that have 5 acres, contiguous acres. then
Wait a minute, I can't second it.
They can keep cattle.
Are you getting cows?
No, but the people this ordinance has brought a lot of it about. I did some work for them in the past, so it's best if I don't do that.
Right, but it,
This is what we, tabled last meeting, is that correct?
It is, y'all wanted to, we copied the horse ordinance is what I'd done originally, and used the count. I still left the count in there, that you have to have 1 acre per animal to deal with the count. But in order to be eligible for it, you have to have 5 contiguous acres. And then you would look at the rest of it to see how many you could put on the 5.
Jay's had a conflict of interest if I second that.
Turns out there's a guy in South Oak Drive who's got 10 cows already.
How many acres does he have?
5.
Well, he wouldn't be grandfathered in because he shouldn't have had them on there before.
Who was that?
Just happened to see him the other day driving by their way in the backyard.
Where's that at, Tom?
See him there run all over his yard.
Where's that at?
I need to verify. Halfway down South Oak on the north side, next to that lot they're clearing.
don't hold it to it, but I'm almost positive he either bought or leased property behind him to get more property.
I didn't find that out. Clearing the lot owns more property too.
Because he bought the house with 5 acres and then he bought an additional adjoining property, if I'm right. I don't know how much though. So,
Yeah, but still, till we change the ordinance, he's not supposed to have any. So he may think he's grandfathered in on that, he's not. You'd have to, if we adopt it, you'd have to bring it in compliance. So we know.
but the change is what you said was they have to have 5 acres to apply for anything.
Yes.
So somebody with 1 or 2 or 3 acres would not be grandfathered.
Qualified.
They could not, they wouldn't.
Jay, can I second that? Or should I, like I say, the people that requested this, I did some work.
I mean, just because you do work for me.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't think that makes you,
It's
if
okay?
you have an ongoing relationship. with
No, I don't even remember the name.
I've never even been approached by the people, I think talking about putting anything.
Okay, so I'll second it later.
I understand that house is old and they gone. I mean,
Right, right. I mean,
This
I
may be
don't
a-
say that, but, and then you, I hadn't even asked us, so maybe a moot point.
That's
we're
what I'm
arguing.
saying. If we not do anything and wait till it comes up. I don't know, I'm just throwing that out there.
I think we done went too far. Let's get it in order for,
Well, Mike says he's making a motion, you said you seconded it,
I'll
so that's,
second it.
all right. The next thing is Resolution 2022-01-01, resolution to amend Resolution 2021-1004 concerning premium pay under the provisions of the APR Act, ARPA, American Rescue Plan Act. And I think that this is what we've agreed we have to do in order to make the payments to the other people that was in question.
I thought that sounded good, how you broke it out for the 2 at this price and 1 at this price.
you need somebody to make a motion.
Yes, sir, I'll need a motion.
I'll do it.
I can second it.
Phillips is going to make the motion, and Ms. Reese is going to second it, which would allow I think it was only 3 other people to receive the payments we've discussed at the last 2 meetings. So, that is all the items that we have on the agenda tonight. Is there anything y'all think we need to go over or anything? If not,
I have one thing. I
Yes, ma'am.
forgot to mention the final rule is out, right? The final rule for the, American Rescue Funds? Where's the best place to get like a copy of that? Is it like their website and go to a link and just print it out? Or did the league issue something? Do you
I
know?
don't recall getting anything, but our email has been messed up since.
Oh my gosh, yes, it has.
Supposedly got fixed this afternoon.
I like when I go write a whole long email and then you try to send it and it's like,
We couldn't receive or send for it since Wednesday night.
okay.
You probably could go to the American Rescue Plan, but I'll look and see what I can find. But it did come out. And also, did y'all get the email today about the meeting, municipal dinner Sarah Lynn was supposed to have on Thursday? It's been canceled, and they will do it in February. They canceled due to the SARPC meeting before they realized it was canceled. So they did change their meeting.
I think they had decided to just move it. I think they were just sending that out as a reminder to not show up in Saraland.
It'll be in February. Is Sarah Lynn right?
That's what it,
That's the way I read it.
yes.
Okay, well, I see Mike has made it in, so he'll be up before. Mike, we're not in the meeting, but you are going to address us tonight on wanting the lodge? Okay, that'd be good. We had called your name earlier just to make sure he was here before the meeting, but
I was late.
no problem. Well, we're about to conclude this one. We'll reconvene at 7 o'clock, which is only about 22 minutes, and
Okay.
we'll bring it up, and hopefully we can take care of that for you.
This is a pre-meeting.
Yes, sir. We're finishing up. All right, well, if that concludes everything from the pre-meeting, that'd give us about 20 minutes real quick for the meeting, so thank y'all.
So do we need to add the minutes? Do we need to, I'm seeing your email.
I didn't want to say anything because I don't want to offend them, but Calvin Manor Street over there, one of those houses, those old houses, we've had a lot of complaints on.
The settlement. Let me see.
And there's a couple of others that are coming. And I did tell Steve Silcox
Yeah, it
that
says 2:29 PM.
starting to work on those houses on Orange.
This is down here.
We might be able to buy through February after that.
The motion to accept the settlement. Council unanimously approved and the motion carried.
Over a year.
Yeah, they had it. Our first meeting was. Rick out.
We've been talking about this off the record. Mark knows James Anderson was there, real estate agent.
That's what I was referring to.
She said, tied up probate. Well, and then the house behind the thing. Old man. Second Avenue.
Yeah.
Wayne and a couple of other neighbors. You can't just let it deteriorate. You should bring down
Got an executive that could just feel it.
old James and
I think this would,
Travis, and they went out there. I don't know where they went, but I know they went. Other than that, like, for other week. Let's look at the cost, because that's gonna be whatever one they like. They think that's a lot of work.
But I was always, I know in class, we
Yeah, you would, you know,
throw
how
away
it is.
city assets that you had to either sell them, like
We
on
had,
gov deals,
it took
or
14 weeks.
But if we went and put it in, one fence comes from Hallsville Road over there, and they got got another one on Highway 90 before you get to Demetropolis.
You report it to whom? Right. What's the new date on that service?
March 24th.
What's up, Tom? That's the final rule? Yeah. 4 pages. It seems like it'd be like 500
We
pages.
did that one out, but I don't think he
Oh,
called
the
one
American
person.
Rescue Funds. Remember how there had the interim final rule? Now the final rule is out.
It's just got a list this long of what it can be used for.
I wanted it to be,
Ages and ages.
I wanted it to be used for outdoor fitness equipment.
I couldn't even tell you what it said.
To promote fresh air workout facilities that are good for your health. That's a good one.
Previous years.
I didn't go by the Land Fair place, but I did go by the Sims, their municipal park. That thing is like, it's like on it's designated space with like one of those like canopy tarps going over the top, right near the splash pad and the playground, so kids can play. Parents, no, this was in Sims. So adults can work out on the workout equipment, and then it's right by it. I was like, where are they going to put it? But you know, you got to go down that hill, and then there's like the fire department or whatever.
Well, they have a river, if you want to call it that, behind the splash pad. Huge pump. They pump the water out of that creek for the splash
That's what
pad.
I was going to ask if you.
So-
No, that's gross.
Yes, they do.
But if James,
That
I guess he's been around long
James
enough.
has put it up.
It's filtered and all, but it's a creek that comes from,
Okay.
He didn't ask me.
actually a tributary of
So is your park Hackmeyer Park? Yeah, so she sent me pictures of the girls
I don't
working
see
out
one
on the
anymore.
equipment. Can you see it's like fit workout equipment, but outside? And so it's like a, well, I did make sure that she is a Satsuma resident.
He still calls me.
And, but I don't know if these girls are paying like,
Don't
you know,
work, but
sometimes you
he's
go to a
working
class
about
and you
it.
have to pay $5 or $10 to be in class.
That's good.
Sixth and Pine.
So I don't know if she's charging people to like be a coach, and if she's even certified or has a
Well,
business
Travis
license. So,
brought them in and said, here, keep these, and I talked to James, and he said they had gotten bids on it. What do you think about it?
Sixth and Pine.
West Pine. Well, I was gonna see if,
Well, when do y'all want us to open it? What are we doing?
Bubba, we can add some
moving on to C&D fields.
tree work.
What?
I knew they had a couple of trees up to take them, but he had some bids here.
I know they was getting some. Like I said, they didn't leave me nothing in my box, so.
Well, here they got this
Your
here. I know they got one thing.
Looks so good, look at your work.
I didn't know we were getting bids on the
Look,
trees.
I'm
James
saying,
told me to
that's-
hold on to them.
That's the reason I tell you, well, go, hold on a minute. I want to see if they had this stuff in my
For the
box.
trees or for the paving?
The paving, but,
Yeah.
It's a capital improvement.
Yeah, that's what they worked on. I don't know what that is.
see, I don't know what they're doing though.
But I don't see nothing about no tree on there.
It was first I heard of it. We'll date them and time them.
Just hold them and we'll bring them up next meeting. Okay. What's this?
The streets and
Okay, it's 7 o'clock. Y'all ready?
Like a coat rack, where you can like hang
Heather.
the gown and stuff.
Hey.
Instead of that shelf they had up there before with all those empty things.
Okay, good evening. It's 7 o'clock, and welcome to the regular scheduled meeting for the Tuesday, January the 18th, 2022. We're going to start our meeting, as always, with invocation. Just a moment, we're going to ask Councilman Randy Little to lead us in invocation and followed by the pledge. But if you would, please make sure you got any phones on silent. Also, I think we got room tonight that not having to get close to anybody they don't know, but we are trying to encourage continuing COVID concerns and also. With that being said, if you would, please stand and then remain standing for the pledge.
Let us pray. Lord, we thank you for the day that you've given us, Lord. We just thank you for the ones that's come out tonight, Lord, that's concerned about our city. We just ask your blessings on this meeting, Father. We just thank you for our mayor and council, Lord. We just ask you to give us strength, Lord, this evening to make the right decisions. Lord, we just pray for the ones that we pray for the families, Lord, that's lost loved ones. We just ask you to comfort them, Lord, in the time of loss. Father, watch over us now, and we just pray for our first responders, Lord. Bless us, and we ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Little. Heather, can we get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Little,
Present.
Councilmember Butler,
Present.
Councilmember Skelton,
Here.
Councilmember Reese,
Present.
Councilmember Phillips,
Here.
Mayor Brawley.
Here. Please let the record reflect that the mayor and all council members are here, along with the city clerk and the city attorney, and our police chief is here, who's got our live streaming going, I think, and everything's out. So the next thing on our is the approval of our agenda.
I make the motion to approve the agenda.
Motion made by Ms. Reese, seconded by Mr. Skelton, to approve our agenda tonight as distributed. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. Okay, we're moving on to the minutes from our last regular meeting, which was held on January the 4th, 2 weeks ago tonight. I think everybody had an email to them a couple of days ago, so
I make a motion we approve the minutes from the regular meeting on January 4th, 2022.
Second.
motion made by Ms. Reese, seconded by Mr. Little, to approve the minutes as attributed from the past meeting. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Okay. We don't have any recognitions tonight. We do have a couple of people on the agenda as visitors, and the first one is Mr. Mike Davis. I think he's with the SCDO, and he's got Mr. Walters with him. Mr. Davis, you want to come on up and tell us what you got?
My name's Mike Davis. I'm representing the SCDO tonight, and I've come before the council. We have the lodge reserved for April the 21st, and I'm asking for, this is going to be for the Citizen of the Year banquet, and I'm asking the council if they would waive the fee for that, maybe even the cleaning fee. No, I'm going to pay the cleaning fee. I know that.
Is that a Thursday night?
It is.
Okay.
And it is available.
It is, yes.
Make a motion, we allow the SCDO to use the lodge. What date was it?
April 21st.
April 21st for Citizens of the Year banquet.
Second.
Okay, well, that didn't sound very hard. Is there any discussion from the council? If not, Mr. Phillips made a motion to grant the use of the Steel Creek Lodge to the SCDO on Thursday, April 21st, and it was seconded by Mr. Little. No further discussion. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Okay. Well, you have the lodge. we appreciate it. I'm looking forward to us being able to get back having that banquet, so I think it's a good thing. Thank you all for everything you do, gentlemen. The next person we had on the agenda was Miss Jennifer Wright, but I haven't seen her arrive, so I didn't know if any of y'all outside seen her, but if she comes in, we can recognize her if y'all don't have a problem with going back to that.
And Mayor, she said also, if she didn't make it tonight, she would come to the February 1st, because she did put on the application February 1st as well. So.
Okay, maybe we'll just see her in February then. Okay, we have a couple other people in the audience tonight. Does anybody else got anything they wish to bring before the council? Goodness, this is really going too quick tonight. It's almost frightening. All right, if there's nothing to come from the floor, I'll go into regular order of business. The mayor's report. I went over a few things briefly in our pre-council. I don't think we need to stay a long time on them tonight. We did discuss the first week of the month, the bass tournament for the high schools. Went pretty good. We had some good weather. Like I said, I think we fished right at 40 boats for the tournament. It was a nice, pretty day. Had a good crowd for the weigh-in. They recognized the city on their Facebook page. It was live, and they did have it broadcast a couple of other times in the days after that. So I think we probably got our $500 for, I think it's actually a little less than that, wasn't it, Heather? We paid for the 2 rooms, and that was all they'd asked for. So, yeah, so we didn't spend what we ought to authorize. So, this Miss Satsuma contest held last Saturday night. There was a bunch of young ladies there. I understand that some of them put on a real good talent show, and I think it was a very big event and seems to be very, very popular. So if you see any of those young ladies or their families, you might want to congratulate them. It seems to always be a very big event here in the city. In pre-council, we had Mr. Breon here, who's kind of been overseeing our day-to-day stuff at the renovations we're doing at Steel Creek Lodge. He gave us an update on that. Ms. Reese may want to expand a little more, but the construction's coming together pretty good, and I think we're actually a little ahead of where we anticipated being, and we've been very fortunate at the cost, too. We've been able to do a little better than we were hoping to do there. So hopefully in the not-too-distant future, we'll have that completed and have it where we can show what we've been doing here for the last few weeks. Did you have anything you want to add on that, Ms. Reese?
No, sir.
I think they had some stuff up here, some paint samples and flooring and all a few days ago. They said you were supposed to be coming by and looking at.
It was paint, some granite countertops, flooring, wall sconces, mirror type, like style, and we just discussed some of the things that we could offer in the women's restroom as far as like a bridal changing area that we could use to attract new clients or new brides, and then how we would outfit the men's restroom, offering the same thing like a dresser of sorts where groomsmen could kind of get ready and put their things up, and that way it kind of is like added value when you're going to rent the lodge. So.
Okay, good. Well, hopefully we'll be able to report back a couple of weeks from tonight and let everybody know how that's turning out. I did forget to mention in pre-council, I have been talking with MediaCom, and they've asked me to try to get some numbers. I've gotten with Tom about homes that's been built in certain areas of the city, mainly over off of the I-65 service road and all, where they don't have access to the cable and the internet. And hopefully with the houses that are under construction and what we feel like will be under construction, I hope that we can put together the information they need, because they've said they would possibly entertain running the lines and servicing the area if they could show that there was continued growth and there would be more homes added over there. They just said with a number of people that showed interest in recent times, it wasn't worth expanding down there. So I've got my hopes up that we could maybe get that service there and a couple other areas where they just don't go to the end of a couple of our streets. We discussed the Sharpsy meeting that we were planning on attending next week in Baldwin County was postponed due to COVID. So it's rescheduled for March. So we'll do that. I'll let y'all know firm once everything's set up for the dates. And I think they gave them to us, but I was a little concerned.
4th or 25th, I can't remember.
So, but we got some time to see then
March
what we got.
24th, 25th.
Yeah, I think that's when they.
From Mr. Ricky Mood.
Okay. We briefly discussed in our pre-council, and I think we're going to get the attorney to look at some ordinances about disposing of old city property that we have, how we can either get rid of it, or some of it we give away this, just things as surplus that we don't need, and it really doesn't meet the threshold of trying to list it for an auction bid. So there's been some people asked about some of those type things and how we can get rid of basically just, I hate to say it, but stuff we consider junk. So we will get back with you on that. The council asked that I try to get Robbie Strom to come to the next meeting so we can discuss the Go Mesa project at Steel Creek. I'm going to do that. And hopefully we can have a discussion, maybe do it in pre-council. Would y'all think that'd be a little better?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Thank you. I said that the audit firm has got a couple of meetings scheduled here at the city and with the water board, so hopefully our city and water board audit will be ready in the next few weeks. Then the last thing that I said, I mean, we talked about a few general things that's got going on with the city and Public Works building and all. We'll continue to monitor those things and report back what we find, but the final thing I have, I just reported that the city, we've had several deaths here in the community. Mr. Jimmy Franks with a tractor company across the street from us, Doyle Omax with his machine shop. Both of those longtime businessmen, well known in our community. Mr. Jackson had been here for as long as I could remember, so that was very sad. And also the Mr. Gerald Smith that does a lot of work for us here at the city and at the water board, has for several years. He lost both of his sisters, so if y'all see him, you can express that sorrow. And like I said, on behalf of me and my family, we'd like to thank all of you for the condolences, the passing of my mother this past week. So that's all the things that I have between pre-council and tonight. So we'll move on to public services with Mr. Little.
Mayor, I mentioned a few of those things earlier, but our seniors are still meeting on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We are busy in the inspection department. We selling a good many new construction permits, which is great. Also, our trash trucks, they running every day. Everything's running pretty smoothly right now. We've done some work down at our trash ramp on the road and actually in the building also. Like I say, certain times there's a good bit of traffic down there. And that's a good service that the city offers. Other than that, I think I'm good, Mayor.
Okay. Along those lines, I would like to say that I think Travis has a 7:30 appointment Friday morning for his on-the-road CDL. So I'd like to get us another CDL operator in case of an emergency to drive those vehicles. Thank you, Mr. Little. Moving on to public safety, Mr. Butler.
All right, last night, this morning, I talked with Chief Waits because he got the virus. He was positive. So, he said, excuse me, he's feeling better. He wants to go back to working pretty soon. I told him, wait until he's 100% well. But, the chief has got a virus. We have one fireman and possibly one or two more. So, also, next week, Chief Waits, we had 10 candidates for interviews. Only 3 showed up. And so next week, we're going to talk with 3 of them again, and maybe we can get somebody hired for the fire department. But other than that, I don't have anything else.
Thank you, Mr. Butler. Moving on to administration, Mr. Skelton.
I don't have anything at this time.
Okay, thank you, Jason. Parks and Recreation, Ms. Reese.
I think you covered everything that we touched on in the pre-council meeting, so I don't have anything additional to add.
Good, thank you. Moving on to Public Works, Mr. Phillips.
Mayor, just a quick rundown of what the Public Works we're working on. Of course, last week, we worked without the inmates due to the quarantine, and they removed a lot of trees from the Frisbee golf course. Picked up trash along 43 throughout the city, and of course, run the leaf vacuum throughout the city. We repaired some lights down at the community center and resurfaced the kayak ramp. And of course, Steel Creek help where there was needed on the remodeling and down at Steel Creek Lodge. That's all I got, Mayor.
Okay, anything else from the council? Moving on, items for discussion and/or consideration. A, the payment of the bills.
I make a motion to pay the bills in the amount of $11,570.98.
Second.
Man, that's lowest I think we've ever had that I remember. So that's good.
Usually is.
Oh, goodness. Well, good. Okay, motion made by Mr. Skelton, seconded by Mr. Little to pay the bills in the amount of $11,570.98. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Let it show that passed. Moving on to number B, discussion and consideration of hiring William Cherry as a full-time police officer effective January the 29th, 2022.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you. All right.
You distracted me with this piece of paper of you.
Bubba.
Allison was
Okay.
busy.
Yeah, I didn't know what happened there. I don't.
He's like, hey, look at this. Hey, look at this. It's all your fault.
Okay, a motion made by Mr. Butler and seconded by Mr. Phillips to approve the hiring of Mr. William Cherry as a police officer. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Moving on to number C, discussion and consideration of repaving Thomas and Harrison Road intersection. If y'all rode by and looked at it, I think Mr. Phillips is saying that intersection there is terrible, and it's got a tremendous amount of traffic on it. And, well, but also, if we're going to table this, I think you were going to make a motion to table it.
I am, because I didn't have the information of the bids tonight. We don't. So
I'd like to see
table,
this.
make a motion, to table it to the next meeting, then we'll have some prices to look at.
Okay. Yeah, I knew they was getting that information for you, but I'd just like to make sure if we're going to hire somebody, they're going to be able to do it, because
Well, that's what I say, it might take 2 or 3 months to get somebody scheduled. That's the reason I'd kind of like to look at it.
okay. But as far as tonight, there's going to be a motion to table. Is that my understanding?
That's correct.
Second.
Mr. Phillips made a motion just to table his discussion or the consideration of the repaving of that intersection till we can get a little more information back. Ms. Reese seconded it. Is there any discussion from the other members? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Okay. Resolutions, ordinances, orders, and other business. A, Ordinance 542. This is an ordinance to amend Ordinance 520. Basically, this is the animal ordinance pertaining to what has come up several times regarding basically livestock or horses and livestock in the city. We've worked over it, tabled it. There's been a lot of discussion among all the members of the council. And I think Jay changed it to the request of some of the members that had said they wanted the people to have at least 5 acres before they could make any request for any of the livestock. So that was basically the biggest change from our last week's discussion. It's something we've brought up a few times, and so it will be the council's pleasure tonight to either let's pass this or not pass it, but basically you would have to have 5 acres, and then you could only have one. We've already allowed the horses at 1 per acre, so this would allow a horse or basically cattle if you had over 5 acres. You get 1 per acre. All righty.
Do you want us to have discussion first?
Sure, we can have discussion now on it. That's good. I mean,
I think it was mentioned late in the discussion last time, that maybe we weren't all in favor of this, and from the very beginning, I thought that a cow gives off an odor, and I know some people try to compare it to saying it's the same thing as a horse, but I just know that I wouldn't want to live near where the wind was blowing, near cows. And my question, or my uncertainty about this is how close would they be allowed to be to the fence line of the neighbor? And then I also believe this is going to be near Steel Creek. So is there like some kind of environmental study where there would be runoff from this land into the creek? I don't know if that's a concern or not. But that's just my feelings on that. So.
I'll voice my concerns again.
okay.
I really wish, like I said before, that we could do this on a one-on-one basis. I know that's hard and probably can't do that, because maybe in some parts of the city, it would be fine. I know there's certain instances that it would probably be good, but you can't determine if you are going to have a neighbor that's going to be right beside you, if you've got enough acreage to handle it. And in other places that has enough acreage, and I'll just, make one place as an example, is the property next to our cemetery that we have. And that is close to Steel Creek. There is enough property there to accommodate that. But I have had complaints before on horses. I mean, there's a wire fence up between this property and our cemetery. Fences break. I've had, concerns from citizens saying that, hey, horses has got out and pooped on graves up there. Now, that's a concern. And I've got kin folks up there, and maybe a lot of y'all has kin folks also. And I mean, I know we're allowing that now in our ordinance, but to put cows also, I mean, cows can get out, and I wouldn't like that on a grave, not saying, you have that to protect a fence, but things happen. And I'm just saying, certain parts of the city, I just don't think it's good to have it, but other parts maybe so. That's why, I would vote against it.
And as Jason mentioned, maybe we wait till the landowner actually approaches the council, because I believe that this was initiated by the people that were selling the property, not so much the new owners.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it. If we leave it like we have it, They're available, they're allowed there, on a temporary basis, which is the way it's always been. I think it's for 10 days or whatever was in here. And since it's not been, brought up to us and, the new landowner or any other landowners, and specifically, has interest in putting cattle on their property, I'd be of the, the opinion to kind of stay where we're at the moment.
And the legwork's already been done, so if we needed to bring it back up, we'd already have it,
Mr. Little's got some good points. Some of that, I didn't think about it, but what he said, I think it's okay that way. He's got some good points.
Phillips, you got any comment?
Mayor, I'm just sitting here listening. I personally don't see nothing different between the horse and the cows, especially as far as the pollution side. I mean, I can't see where one's with more pollution than the other as far as a creek. And, 5 acres, there's very few places in Satsuma that can even do that. So, I mean, I just feel like we need to put it to bed. We need to bring it to a vote. If council's against it, vote no. If they're for it, vote for it. But that way it's over with. We don't need to keep bringing this up meeting after meeting.
Okay, with that being said, then, I think everybody's expressed where they're at. Lord knows, I feel like I've talked about it for the last few months. If you want to make your motion, you'll see if you get a second. If you do, then we'll call it to a vote. If you don't get a second,
Earlier, Mike said he was making the motions. He done withdraw that?
I resign it.
Well, I'll put it in the form of a motion, just to see if we get a second.
Okay. On the said ordinance that's been discussed tonight and several council meetings prior to tonight, ordinance 542, Mr. Phillips has made a motion to put this motion up for adoption tonight, and it was introduced last week, so it could be. So I have a motion on the floor. Is there a second to the motion? Well, I think we've all clearly discussed it.
Now, it don't have to come up no more.
Okay. The motion has died for the lack of a second. We'll move on to the next item, which is Resolution 2022-01-01. This is a resolution to amend Resolution 2021-10-04 concerning premium pay under provisions of the ARP Act, ARPA, the American Rescue Plan, which would allow us to give a bonus to 3 former workers who we've all discussed, and I think including the amounts at the last meeting. So it was discussed, and we didn't have a number on the resolution at the last meeting, I don't think, did we? Heather, or do you recall?
No, sir, we added 2022-0101.
So we'd have to suspend the rules to put it up for immediate
Actually,
adoption?
it did have it, it just didn't have the amount on it.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Then if we discussed it and it was introduced, we can just vote on it. So now, we can discuss it, or we can see the council's feelings on it. I think in pre-council, there was a council member that said they would make a motion, and we had a second. Has anything changed on that?
No, sir.
Okay, with that being said, without us having to go back through it at length, do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Phillips and seconded by Mr. Reese to pass said resolution. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. Okay, let it show that passed unanimous. We have covered everything that I know that we discussed in pre-council and that was on our regular agenda tonight. Do any of you know of anything that we need to address prior to our next meeting? I think I have a couple of things I've got to get answered for Ms. Reese, and hopefully we can have that at the next meeting and maybe have someone to brief us on the Gulf Mesa project.
I did have one question, and I've brought this up before, and I think we didn't have the equipment, but I would really like to see if there would be some way to clean up all the rocks in the streets. And I know it's like at a lot of the intersections, and I don't know if a street sweeper is something we could rent from the county. Somebody had mentioned on Facebook about they drive a motorcycle and they have to avoid a lot of areas. And even riding my bicycle, you have to navigate all the rocks. And I think it would maybe just kind of freshen up the streets and make it look a little bit better.
I think the road you're talking about was on the state right-of-way. That's what I saw. I asked Travis to make a list where the turn-ins are, and specifically I listed that one, and we requested AlDOT put that on their list to clean up, but they have not made it yet. So
A lot of like Old 43, and then where you turn into the intersections, and then I noticed over when I drove by Public Works the other day, going back to that park, the one that's, I don't know, is that what the name of the road is? Anyways, I think there's a lot of areas that could use it, so. That's all. I can make a motion to adjourn.
hold on, let me get caught up on your notes with you want me to get done, because I'll forget.
I just put street sweeper rocks.
Okay, I'll try to have those, this fence and a quote, the signs, if Tim will do that, at the entrance to the city, and what we can get a street sweeper, or possibly either rent one from the county has. I don't know what they have. I would think they would, but if not, I'm sure one of the rental companies would have something we could rent.
I could drive it if you needed me to. I'm forklift certified.
Not street sweeper.
Okay. All right, I think we've addressed all the issues that we had to come before us tonight, and Ms. Reese has made a motion to adjourn. Second, we will do it, and we'll be adjourned.
Second.
Motion made and second
Like
to
nobody wants to
adjourn.
leave.
We are adjourned.